Shalom and welcome to the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Today we're looking at Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 28. You may recall that in the two previous verses the Lord had accused the wicked among his people of lying in wait. They were full of treachery and deceit, trying to take advantage of others and abuse them so that they themselves could profit from it. And that imagery is going to continue here with a couple of legal images as well. So let's go ahead and read this text in Hebrew as we get started. Shaminu ashitu gam avaru divrei ra. Din lodanu, din yatom, veyatzlichahu. Umishpat evyonim lo shafatu. Well, what do we have here? Shamanu. Well, here we're going to have a perfect. It's going to be a third common plural. It's going to be a kal. From the verb shemen, or shaman, which means to be fat. You may know the word shemen with two segols underneath it, which means one of the common words for oil. And this is derived from the same root, and shemanu means to be fat, to be or to become fat. So in this case, it's they became fat, and they. Well, what do we have here? Well, the analysis is going to be the same. The parsing is going to be a perfect third common plural kal again from the verb ashat, like that, which is a little unusual. It's a hapax, meaning this is the only time in the Old Testament that we find this word. And we're not sure exactly what it means, but it seems to be related through some other forms to the idea of being smooth or shiny. And so you can get this picture of these men who've become almost obese with their fatness and smooth and shiny now because they've profited so much in this metaphorical way. They've become fat. They've become often translated sleek here. And the even, avru, this is a word, same parsing, perfect third common plural, kal, from the verb avar, which means to cross or to transgress. In this case, to cross or to go beyond a boundary. They've gone beyond a boundary in words or things or deeds of evil. This is a plural of davar, meaning word, but it can also mean thing or act or deed. In words of evil. Now, this may be actually the subject. The words of evil have overflowed, or they have overflowed with respect to words of evil or deeds of evil. In any case, they've gone beyond what is reasonable, any sort of boundary, reasonable boundary. Din, this is a noun, which means a cause or a judgment, some sort of a legal case. And it's related to the verb din, written exactly the same way, which is parsed over here. A judgment or a cause, they did not judge or did not plead a cause. The parsing of this verb here is exactly the same over here. Again, it's a perfect third common plural from the verb, it's a kal from the verb din, written just like the noun over here. So a case, they did not plead the case, using this cognate accusative, very common in Hebrew. And what kind of case are we talking about here, Jeremiah? Well, this would be the case, now here it's in a construct state with yatom, the case of the orphan. Yatom is an orphan, or in the Old English sense of the word, and in the Hebrew sense as well, an orphan can be one who is fatherless. He may have a mother, but if he's fatherless, he's still considered an orphan because the mother cannot give the kind of legal and financial protection that a child needs. So this can be translated as either orphan or fatherless in that sense. Now, this one here is going to be a little bit tricky. We have a vav at the beginning, and then we have a yod and an u, so a yod preformative and u sufformative. So we know it's going to be an imperfect. It might be an imperfect consecutive, or it might not. It's harder to tell. You do have a perfect over here, so this could be an imperfect consecutive. This is obviously a third masculine plural, and it's obviously also a hifil, because you see the patak underneath the preformative. You see this hirak yod right here, from the verb tzalak, which salak by itself means to prosper, and in the hifil would be to make prosperous, or to make something to prosper, or to have success. Now, what is this? Who or what is the subject of this verb? And this is going to be a little bit tricky. If we go back and pick up the context, they did not plead the case. the case of the orphan. Now, do we translate this vav in a sort of a resultive way, so that they will prosper, or so that they prosper, if we take it more in a perfect sense, almost a present tense kind of a way, so that they might prosper? Who's the they? Would that be the orphan? Orphan is singular, the case of the orphan, that's singular, so, but it could, Hebrew frequently passes from singular to plural. So they did not plead the case of the orphans, so that the orphans, the fatherless, might prosper and be well taken care of. Or should we take this in an adversative way, the vav? But in that case, that would give us that they did not plead the case of the orphan, and yet they succeeded. They had success, and the they in this case would be the evil ones. I'm a little more inclined to take it that way, but we'll see in the translations there's some differences. So there's a little bit of a question about who's the subject here of this verb, and in what sense should we understand this vav? That's an exegetical question. And then finally, and the judgment, or the case, or the legal case, is almost a synonym of din up here. The judgment of the poor. You may know the word evion, which means poor or needy. This is just the plural of that. They did not judge. So once again, we have a perfect third common plural kal from the verb shafat, to judge, with sort of a cognate accusative. Again, the judgment of the needy, they did not judge. The subjects of the verb all the way through seems to be the wicked men that we're dealing with in the context here. So that's for the analysis. Let's go ahead and hide our work here, and we'll look at two translations. First of all, in the New American Standard, which is very similar to most of our English translations. They are fat, they are sleek, or they have become fat, they have become sleek. They also excel in deeds of wickedness. They have transgressed, gone beyond with things of wickedness. They do not plead the cause, which cause? The cause of the orphan. Now you see here, that they may prosper. So they're putting a very causal way into, or sort of a resultant way, so that they, in which case they would be the orphan, that the orphans may prosper, or that perhaps the people themselves, with a change of heart, if they had pleaded the cause of the orphan, then maybe the men themselves would prosper. But in any case, they're taking it in a sort of a conclusion way, and they do not defend the rights of the poor. Now, the other way to take it, and we see this in the New Jerusalem Bible, they are fat, they are sleek, in wickedness they go to any lengths, they go beyond, they transgress, they have no respect for rights, for orphans' rights, so they develop that a little bit with the concept of rights, and yet they succeed. Now here this is clearly adversative, so you can see there's a very distinct, a different way of interpreting this right here. They have not upheld the cause of the needy. The last part is okay. Some of you know I do a lot of work in French. Almost all the French translations go in this direction, and yet they, the wicked, succeed, even though they disrespect the rights of the orphans. Whereas most of our English translations go in this direction. King James is an exception. King James goes in this direction over here. But most of our other English translations go in this direction. They do not plead the cause of the orphan, so that they may prosper, so that it may go well, or promote the cause of the orphan, I think the NIV says. So there's a difference there, and it's an interpretive question. You can understand both of them do make sense in context, but I tend to think that given the fact that it's the evil ones have been, like I said, the subject of all the verbs all the way through, I'm tempted to go more with this one here and take this vav here in an adversative sense of but. They succeed even though they disrespect the rights of everyone else. The Lord sees all of this that's going on, and the people think they're getting away with it, the wicked ones here, but God sees, and God will bring it to judgment. He takes care of his people. Well, check back with us soon as we continue working through Jeremiah chapter 5 in the weekend edition of the Daily Dose of Hebrew. Shalom.